Hey guys, Amanda here. Please don't mind my hair. I gave it a little trim because there was some damage on it, and it was only about 2 inches. But my hair has like a mind of its own. It's like, what did you do to me? So if it kind of like looks funny, that's why. And plus, it's hot and humid where I live, so it makes it much more fun. Okay. So, because of the stuff that I just recently talked about, I thought it would be a good idea to make a list of my personal opinion about the differences between a tantrum and a meltdown. So a tantrum is, I'm talking in terms of kids who are not diagnosed with a disorder. Like my son has Asperger's, these children do not. So undiagnosed children, I'm not saying that these kids have this. What I'm saying is that there is no disorder, as opposed to meltdowns where there is a disorder. So I just want you to keep in mind, tantrums, no disorder; meltdowns, disorder. Okay? So with a tantrum, the child can regain control. They are simple to handle. Children do it as a last resort to get what they want, and it's a manipulative power play. So what you do in those situations, is you ignore the behavior and you refuse the request. And eventually the child will be like, what? I'm not getting it? Okay, fine. So, and I know I've seen tantrums, I've been in tantrums. It takes a little bit more effort than that, but what I'm saying is that it's basically a child crying, screaming, pounding the floor, whatever, to get what they want. And that's all a tantrum is. So number one, during a tantrum, the child will look around to see if there is a reaction from people because of their behavior. They want to see if people are watching. You know, it kind of gives them that feeling of power because now people are watching a parent and child go through this. And to them, they're like, hey, people are watching, so you're going to do what I want, right? That's what they're thinking. And I do remember that from when I was a child, so I did that. Shh, don't tell anybody. Okay, number two. During a tantrum, the child will take safety into consideration so they and others will not be hurt. Number three, during a tantrum, the child will try to use the social situation to his or her benefit. And that's what I was saying, like for an example, in a store, okay, say this happens, the child wants a toy, you say no, not today or whatever, and the child is like, but I want the toy. You know, people are going to look because when you hear noise, you automatically look, okay? And when you hear a child's voice being like that, you automatically look. It just is. But some people will look and be judgmental or whatever, and the kid is counting on you being embarrassed by their behavior that you're just going to give in and give them what they want to shut them up. Some parents do that. That's your choice. If that's what you want to do, that is your choice. I highly recommend you not give in to your child, because once you give in, they win. Then they have you. Then anytime they want something, they just cry, you give it to them. They're not learning that you can't always get what you want. And when you become an adult crying and screaming like that, you're never going to get what you want. So, seriously, ignore the behavior, refuse the request, and keep your foot down, period. No matter what anyone says or how they look at you, it doesn't matter. It's not their business. They're not raising your child. You are. So you know what's best for your child. So other people's opinions do not matter. Especially if they're not being helpful. Like if they're like, do you need any help? That's one thing. They're showing concern. But if they're like, you know what? your child is disturbing everybody, you need to get your child out of here, that is somebody who needs to keep their trap shut. And don't listen to them. Okay, so number 4, a child throwing a tantrum is trying to achieve a specific goal, and once achieved, will return to normal behavior. And that's what I meant, like, if your child is upset, they want this. Your child is upset because you said they couldn't have something. So they freak out, you know, like, Mom, I want it, give it to me, I want it, why can't I have it? You're a mean mommy, or whatever. Or daddy. And then you give it to them, and they stop. They will stop because you gave in. Don't give in. Do not give in. Because your goal is to teach your child that you can't always get what you want. Life isn't fair. We all know this. Number 5, during the tantrum, the child will try to get you to think he or she is not in control of their actions. They are. Because the reason that they're having a tantrum is to manipulate you into getting you to give the child what he or she wants. They are totally in control. And don't think that they're not. Number 6, once the tantrum is resolved, the tantrum will end as suddenly as it started. And that is true. And now, I don't mean give in to the child, but what I mean is once the child realizes, oh, I'm not getting this isn't working, they'll stop. And I know this because I've seen it, and I've also been a child once, and I did throw tantrums, and once I realized I wasn't getting what I wanted, I stopped. And I've seen it with other kids too, growing up and all that. And just even now, seeing parents with their kids crying in the store, and the parents like, nope, nope, and they just continue to shop, even though the kid's like, I want this, mommy, They just continue to ignore them, and eventually the kid will shut up, you know, they'll stop. Alright, so, whoops, meltdowns. This is what I deal with my son. Alright, so a meltdown for a child, it's a loss of control, total loss of control of body and emotions. A child having a meltdown cannot regain control. They might want to, but they can't. I'm going to say like something in the brain, it has to be something in the brain, is malfunctioning. You know, of course you're seeing behaviors, but we all know that everything that happens is because of our brain. And something must be going awry. It's like it's constantly hitting this button over and over and over and over again, and the child is trying to like move it away, but they can't because they have no control over it. It's like something's taken over the child, and I can say that in my case, I have seen it. It seriously looks like my son is possessed. I'm not kidding. His face changes, his eyes change, he becomes something he is not. And it's very scary to see that. But I'm going to go ahead and read these, and then I'm going to talk about a couple of other things I wrote down. So number 1, during a meltdown, the child is uninterested in the social environment. Number 2, during a meltdown, safety is of no concern to the child. Number 3, during a meltdown, no one is in control. No one. Number 4, during a meltdown, the reaction of others is of no concern. Number 5, meltdowns last until the child starts to wind down. It is a very slow process. The force that empowered the child finally releases its grip, but it is a slow wind down. And I tend to find that with my son, after the wind down, it doesn't matter what time of day it is, he is tired. He needs to cuddle with me, and all, there's like a whole thing that goes on afterwards that people don't know about either. But it takes a while. It really does, and it's not fun. And I'm not kidding. Nobody is in control. You might try to hold the child down or try to get them to stop. What they're doing, it can seem like the child is purposefully doing this. And I understand why people would think that. But he's not. He is out of control. He can't stop himself. He needs to be stopped. And he needs to be in a safe place so he can wind down. So his brain will let go of whatever it is that he can't control himself. And it takes a while. It really does. And it depends on the child, and it depends on how long the meltdown lasted and the circumstances involving it. So I just wanted to go over like potential reason, like signs that you might notice that might be something to keep an eye on, because they might lead to a meltdown. Like, some kids have seizures. The kind of seizures that you don't know what's happening to the person, where they just kind of sit there and they stare. And you see it a lot in classrooms, where the child will stare and it looks like they're not paying attention, but really they're having a seizure. So that could be a cause. And that's something that I have brought up before, but you know what? I'm not taking that seriously for some reason. So it's like, no, I don't think it is. Well, just because you think it's not doesn't mean it isn't. You can only do a test to determine that. So, he spaces out, like just regular, like, no, whatever. It's like the calm before the storm kind of thing. Let's see. There could be health issues that might contribute to it as well. The child holding on to fears and anxiety and not dealing with it or talking about it, like that pressure cooker blows up. Sensitivity to light and sounds, irritability, rude in speech, change in routine, lack of sleep, nightmares, etc. All these things can be signs to look for that there might be a meltdown coming. And meltdowns in and of themselves are very scary. They can last, personally with my son, they have lasted from anywhere between 15 minutes and an hour and a half. It can be very violent. Well, he can be violent, meaning he can throw things. He hits, kicks, bites, swears, whatever. Anything, he does it. It takes a lot out of people. It takes a lot out of him. And you could be the most skilled parent or skilled provider. And even though you can work in the field for like 35, 40 years, you can still be overwhelmed and be at your wit's end and not know what to do to help the child. And it's scary. And people don't understand. They just walk up to you like, you need to discipline your child. If it were that easy, do you think this would be a problem? It's like, people don't understand. I might sit here and make this video, you might watch and be like, oh, I never thought about it that way. But if you've never experienced it, a meltdown with a child, you're not gonna have any idea of what it's like. And it is very scary. And I wish I could stop it. I wish I could just press a button or say a magic word or whatever, and it stops it from happening. Or if it is happening, I can stop it then and there. I can't. Nobody can. It has to run its course. And that's what's really scary. Because these children have no control of themselves when it's happening. And being on the outside, seeing this happen, and how I feel, I can't imagine what it feels like for him on the inside. I can't imagine that. So I made this video because I want people to at least have an idea of the difference between a tantrum and a meltdown. A meltdown is extremely serious. And it has nothing to do with not parenting your kids well or not disciplining them enough or whatever. It has nothing to do with parenting skills whatsoever. There is a problem in the brain, and sometimes the switch gets turned on, but no one can stop it except the brain. How do you mess it's like trying to stop air from being. How do you stop air from being? You know what I mean? There are things that you can do to teach your children skills before and after. So to try to minimize the chances of a meltdown occurring. I'm not gonna lie, it's extremely scary, and it breaks my heart to see him like that every single time it happens. It really does. It scares me so much. I can't help him. It's hard being a parent and watching your child suffer, and there's nothing you can do to help him or her. Nothing. Except be there. There's nothing you can do. So, I'm going to end this video here. I hope this was helpful in some way. If any of you parents out there who deal with this, if you have anything else to add to what I said, please feel free or make your own video. I think it's helpful to educate as much as possible because people just don't get it. So, I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. I love you all, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.